Peeps, hi. Welcome back to the Montgomery Resilience Trust. Lines in the Sand, Series 4, in advance of On the Hill next week with Professor Mac and Jeremy. It's an important day today. Oops. There's a new book launched today, available to you from all good retailers, written by a good friend of mine, Niall Downey. I met Niall about maybe 4 or 5 years ago through some of the work I was doing in government and the UK Armed Forces with some other agencies about why things were going wrong. And I started working with him both in the airline industry, which is where he currently works as a captain on, I think he's now on 777s, I could be wrong. And before that, he was a heart surgeon. So Niall's got an experience in the health world as well as the aviation world, and those two areas, like any profession, they're well versed to occasionally things going wrong, but not just wrong, catastrophically wrong. Why is today important then? Because Niall's book is launched today. It's called Oops, How Things Can Go Horribly Wrong and What We Can Do About It. And this comes back to our sense of self-belief, which Professor Mac talks well on, and our responsibilities, and where we're accountable, and our levels of integrity, building on series 1, 2 and 3 as we are in Integrity Week. How does Niall's work fit to this? Okay, the first thing down here is to recognize our inner belief system. Again, our inner belief system affects the way we see things, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we decide, the way we act, and the outcomes. Our belief systems determine everything. These need to be re-evaluated regularly. And an example of why things go wrong and why they continue to go wrong isn't because, as lazily we often think, we're not learning the lessons. It's because we get it wrong straight away here. When it goes wrong in this part of our world, be it personal or professional, or in our relationships or in our professions, the first thing, go back to your belief system, is to recognize the fact that you might have got it wrong. And as soon as you say, I've got it wrong, that's the first thing you've done right, is because you go into this space. The first thing I'd encourage you to think about when it's gone wrong is accept you got it wrong. And that's the first right thing to do. I got it wrong. Because it immediately gets you from this space of error into solution. That's you taking responsibility for your actions, being held to account for your actions, and your levels of integrity, because you recognize you're human. We make mistakes. It's accepted. You're probably trying to do really difficult things. It's going to go wrong. Just live with it. So the first thing to do that's right is say I've got it wrong. It puts you into this space, which is open-minded rather than closed. This is where deflection happens, projection happens, blame, anger, bitterness, and psychological harm, both for an individual, for a team, or for an organisation. You become psychologically dysfunctional. Elements of the police services, perhaps. Elements of the armed forces, perhaps. Elements of other industries, definitely. Psychologically unsafe, because we fail to recognise, first thing, we got it wrong. So that's probably the best thing that would come from Niall's book. Oops, I got it wrong. Admit it immediately, and that puts you into the space that tells me you got it right, because you recognise you got it wrong. Open-minded, closed-minded. This allows for growth and improvement and performance, and it builds a team. This destroys your team. This destroys yourself, because it compromises your levels of responsibility and exposes your sense of belief systems, which will be weak. Oops. I hope that makes sense. More On the Hill next week with Professor Mac. Love is patient. Love is kind. Hold on tight. It'll be all right.